Chapter 81, Flying Knife as a Signal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Leaving the God of Wealth Pavilion, Li Ming walked down the wide street. It was late, and few people were around. The moonlight cast long, dim shadows under the thick trees. Suddenly, Li Ming stopped. He could feel eyes on him, following him from the shadows. Were they waiting until he was away from the God of Wealth Pavilion to avoid interference? These guys must be thrilled that a fat sheep like him was out of the pen. To them, Li Ming was a walking gold mine, even though he was no pushover, having taken down a Jindan Grandmaster and survived the blood-killing secret realm. Greed is a powerful motivator. Plenty of people were still hoping to get lucky, thinking they could swoop in during the chaos and score big. Who would know who did it? There's safety in numbers, right? Even with long odds, some people are always willing to gamble, hoping for that 1 in a million chance to change their lives. 10, maybe 20, that's a lot of takers. Weren't they afraid of dying? Li Ming shook his head, sensing several killers in the condensation realm among them. Did they really think they had a shot? Some were strong, their presence obvious. Others were weak, barely able to conceal their breathing, but Li Ming had expected this. 200 yuan crystals for one kill. Seemed too good to be true. In the end, his cultivation level was only in the condensation realm. That's what gave them confidence. Plus, the treasures he carried were definitely valuable, which fueled their greed. Time to thin the herd and send a message. Under the night sky, the wind picked up. Li Ming stood in the middle of the street, knife in hand, and called out calmly, "If you want my head, come and get it." His voice carried, reaching the hidden figures. "Cocky, huh? Let's just wait and see who makes the first move," a dark figure muttered from a tree branch. Smart killers waited for others to weaken the prey before moving in for the kill. After all, the bounty from the ghost market was for Li Ming's head, no matter who took it. So, despite Li Ming's taunts, no one wanted to be first. They didn't know his true strength and wouldn't risk going in blind. Even if they could defeat him, they'd be swarmed by the others afterward. Li Ming scoffed. A bunch of gutless killers. Greedy and cowardly. They clearly didn't get it. Time to be bold when others are scared. Let's attack together. Someone finally shouted, amplifying his voice with true energy. He just came from the God of Wealth Pavilion, he's gotta be loaded. Split the loot evenly. That the man's tone was bloodthirsty, a throwing knife ready in his hand. Thwack, star, the throwing knife hit the ground, the killers in the shadows tensed, ready to strike. Suddenly, a whoosh. The knife flew into the air and stuck in the ground. Everyone staring at Li Ming was stunned. In a heartbeat, he'd vanished. Where'd he go? The man in black on the tree stared at the empty street, eyes wide. Before he could react, his hair stood on end, and a cold chill ran down his spine. Oh crap! A shadow loomed behind him. The man in black's heart stopped. He'd been so focused that he hadn't seen Li Ming's speed. He never thought he'd be found the moment he attacked. Something's not right, he's way stronger than he looks. Without a second to spare, the man in black channeled his true energy and tried to escape, but Li Ming's hands locked around his neck, and with a squeeze, he felt like he was suffocating. Let go. Spare me. Panic set in, but he couldn't break free. Li Ming's grip was like a vice. Ever heard this one? Li Ming stared into his terrified eyes. Hunters often become the hunted. His grip tightened, and the other man's screams faded. As his limbs went limp, Li Ming tossed his body aside. Boom, star, the corpse landed with a thud. Someone in the distance barely managed to dodge. What the hell? It all happened so fast. Seeing the man in black die sent a shiver down their spines. He was a condensation realm master who'd done this kind of thing before. He was good at surviving, but Li Ming had wasted him without even breaking a sweat. Since you're here, you're not leaving. Under the moonlight, Li Ming looked huge, his eyes bloodshot, his killing intent obvious. He blurred into motion, appearing on a nearby rooftop faster than the eye could see. Li Ming threw a punch. Chi and blood exploded. Time seemed to slow down. Boom, star, the punch landed with brutal force, true chi blasting through his fist, leaving no room to dodge. Right in the chest. the guy flew back, his entire chest collapsing. Blood mixed with bits of internal organs gushed from his mouth, and his mask flew off, revealing his agonizing expression. He didn't even have time to scream before he died. Another condensation realm warrior down. Li Ming ignored the chime of the system adding to his life energy and moved again. Like the Grim Reaper in the night, he began to reap. He dragged a masked man from a house and a flash of cold light appeared. The long sword sliced his throat without resistance. Run! This kid's a monster. Seeing Li Ming move like a ghost, easily killing two men, the wannabe heroes suddenly regretted their greed. Was this money really worth it? Condensation realm warriors weren't weak, but they were getting wiped out by a guy who wasn't even 20 years old. A real condensation realm at that. Some gave up and tried to run, but even running, they were no match for Li Ming's speed. With his awakened spiritual body, Li Ming seemed one with the world. Whoosh! Li Ming shot like an arrow. A couple of thuds, and two fleeing warriors were sent flying with a single punch each, spitting up blood. Blood mist sprayed, staining the street red. The night had turned bloody. Chapter 82, The sword is fast, the knife is even faster. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Let's get out of here. We messed up. Not far away, two guys, built about the same and wearing black ghost masks, felt Li Ming's eyes on them. They were spooked and started begging for mercy. Just knowing you messed up is enough. Then what's the point of the 6 gates? Li Ming's icy voice terrified them. They immediately went all in, pushing their blood and energy, and blasting out their true chi without holding back. These two were top tier in the condensation realm, just one step away from becoming grandmasters. With some mid-level outfits, they could have been guest advisors, but facing Li Ming, warriors who hadn't even reached grandmaster level were nothing more than ordinary folks. They didn't stand a chance. If they teamed up, maybe they would have had a shot, but that's people for you. Nobody wanted to lead the charge. Most just hung back, hoping the cannon fodder would drain a little of Li Ming's true chi, planning to jump in later. Boom! With a godlike presence and crushing force, his fist was terrifying. The two condensation realm warriors seemed to tremble, like they were under a mountain, their faces filled with fear, and their eyes went wide. They felt like they were losing control, flying backward against their will. Puff! Li Ming sauntered up to them with a sneer. Bang! Li Ming punched through one guy's heart, and he went limp on the ground. The other guy, shaking like a leaf, started kowtowing like crazy, shouting, "Don't kill me. I'll give you all my money, please, Grandpa, spare my life." Oh, man, where'd I get such a stupid grandson? Li Ming wasn't about to pull any punches. Sure, they looked pathetic now, like they really regretted what they did, but if Li Ming were on his knees begging, they'd devour him without a second thought. Moments later, Li Ming kept on with his attack, and the street was soaked in blood. He let a few slip away, but he bagged most of them, just trash with condensation realm strength, trying to stir up trouble. They didn't realize they were the ones about to get slaughtered. The fighting noise caught the attention of warriors passing by, piquing their interest, but when they got close enough, hearing the screams, smelling the blood, and seeing Li Ming standing in a pool of it, their faces changed, and they held their breath. Afraid of being mistaken, they looked away, closed their eyes, and pretended not to see anything. Some even covered their ears like they heard nothing. 1, 2, 3, 11 people. Li Ming silently counted the assassins he'd killed. That'd get him 23,000 life points. Not bad. For entries, Li Ming went straight for the ones about root bones, to amp up his blood's potency, and 2 special entries. Hide, blue, you're good at hiding your chi, regular folks can barely spot you. Disguise, green, you've mastered some next-level disguise skills. You can even change your body shape. Useless for fighting, but could come in handy down the road. But, some people just won't quit. Li Ming eyed a figure standing a short distance away, maybe 30 feet, face hidden in shadow. The guy held a long sword, glaring at Li Ming with pure malice, looked like he'd been waiting a while. Step, step. Li Ming turned his head to find another figure sneaking up with a knife behind him. They had him pinned front and back. This was planned. These two had been tracking his every move and gathering intel. It looked like they were trying to push him into a corner. Even though the two looked serious, Li Ming didn't panic. he smirked. Neither of them had reached the spirit refinement realm. This could be a fight. Name, Dao Qi. Realm, 7th level of Jindan. Entries, blood drinking mad knife, blue, true meaning of knife, blue, blood knife body, blue, knife crazy, blue, killing like hemp, blue, no care, white, lone star, gray. Blood drinking mad knife, blue, you've got a blood drinking knife, loves human blood, needs blood every day, drink blood, crazy power. True meaning of knife, blue, you understand 20% of the true meaning of knife combat and can get infinite power. Name, Lin Zhan. Realm, 6th level of Jindan. Entries, sudden rain sword, blue, true meaning of sword, blue, steel bones, blue, comprehension, white, determination, white, overwhelming hatred, gray, disfigurement, gray. He is a good knife user. Li Ming glanced at the interceptor behind him, rough-looking, scarred face, not that tall, but still gave off major pressure. You could practically smell the blood on him. The swordsman in front was wearing a black veil, his eyes burning with hatred for Li Ming. Lin Zhan, Lin Sun's old man, wasn't the most gifted, but he worked like crazy. With the Lin family's resources, he barely made it to the Jindan realm, but no chance of getting into the Xinlian realm. When he heard about Lin Sun's death, he rushed back as soon as he got the news. He found out the family was being cold about it, even thinking about apologizing to Li Ming. He lost it and threw a fit. Lin Canghai stepped in and said he'd pay to have Li Ming killed, so he grudgingly went along with it. But since Li Ming had been in the Lu mansion, most of the hitmen backed out. Sanyang County wasn't that big, and only a few guys could reliably take Li Ming out. Most were too scared or didn't want to be on the Six Gates' bad side. To finish Li Ming off for good, he'd risk everything. He even disfigured himself and left everything related to the Lin family behind, all to kill Li Ming, even if it cost him his life. Li Ming eyed him curiously and asked, with that kind of anger, "You're not from the Lin family, are you?" Li Ming dropped the act. It had been long enough, and most outfits knew he'd taken the top-grade evil spirit. He'd also gotten blamed for a lot of stuff he didn't do. The Six Gates sign kept the big boys at bay. Most families just gritted their teeth. Life and death were up to fate. They knew what they were getting into. To be honest, Lin Sun was definitely killed by me. Before Li Ming could finish, Lin Zhan snapped. Thought he was a hero in his younger days. He'd joined the Six Sects, traveled Sangzhou, killed countless people, and was known for his sudden rain swordsmanship. He'd been a famous swordsman back in the day. After Lin Sun was born, he quit being a catcher and started teaching his son swordsmanship. Lin Sun wasn't great at swords, but his archery skills were off the charts. He was able to carry on the family archery skills, which made him both disappointed and happy. This sword was a show of his real power. He'd been knee-deep in the Golden Core realm for ages. True energy surged, and a lightning bolt split the air, covering ground in no time. The sword came out silent. Even the sonic boom was left behind. The sword light seemed to cut through space. It was more than just a sword. To onlookers, the light split over and over, becoming thousands of biting points, like falling stars scattered everywhere. Each point was real, just like sudden rain. This was a killing move, both invisible and concrete, impossible to defend. Even Dao Qi nodded. He figured Li Ming couldn't dodge that, and sighed that he wouldn't be able to use the move. Clang. In a heartbeat, the sword light vanished. Li Ming drew his sword like a god. A black sword flashed, and powerful Xianxia erupted, then seemed to disappear. Lin Zhan's eyes widened. The sword seemed to have stopped again. No matter how hard he tried, Li Ming didn't budge. The sword light was blocked, swallowed, by the long sword, like a drop in the ocean, not making a ripple. Not bad swordsmanship. Li Ming's eyes shined. Too bad, my knife is faster and stronger. Chapter 83, The sword is like a dragon, vulnerable to attack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This sword strike went nowhere, and the frenzy in Lin Zhan's eyes faded, replaced by a chilling murderous intent, and worry. Li Ming, barely out of the condensation realm, seemed to handle his attacks with ease. Lin Zhan roared, his sword a blur, blades flashed, sword energy lashed out, but Li Ming blocked every attack. Li Ming moved closer. Instantly, Lin Zhan felt a terrifying pressure, like he was staring into the abyss. Li Ming's powerful energy, fueled by his robust bloodline, seemed to shake the very ground. For a moment, Lin Zhan thought he was looking at a completely different person. Just a moment ago, Li Ming's power was held in check, but now, it had awakened like a sleeping dragon. Its roar echoing through the mountains. Xinglua sword art, speed. Lin Zhan lunged, throwing everything he had into his attack. Eat this. Li Ming's eyes blazed. He deflected the sword with a knife in his right hand, and his left hand snapped shut into a fist. He clenched it tight, as if he could crush air itself. The punch landed with layered force, turning his blood and energy into a ravenous beast, ready to devour Lin Zhan whole. To anyone watching, it looked like an ordinary punch, but the instant it landed, Lin Zhan's hair stood on end. Crap! He realized the punch was deadly, abandoning his attack and bracing for defense. Boom! Fist met sword in a violent explosion. The street erupted within a 10-foot radius. Soil and stone rained down. Ugh! Lin Zhan barely managed to block the blow, his body shaking, a flicker of fear in his eyes. What was this guy? How could someone still in the condensation realm pack this much power? The sword nearly slipped from his numb hand. Even with his energy shield and the sword as a buffer, his insides felt like they'd been scrambled. The collision had torn Li Ming's clothes, and a stray sword strike had nicked his arm. Not bad. Li Ming was surprised by Lin Zhan's resilience. He could take a beating, probably spent extra time toughening up after failing to make progress in his cultivation. Die. Li Ming pressed his advantage, sword slashing down. Bang! Lin Zhan gritted his teeth and raised his sword, but was thrown back. Before he could recover, another punch came flying. Bang, bang, bang. Li Ming's onslaught was relentless, punches hammering like artillery. The phantom of a raging bull materialized around him. Lin Zhan braced himself, eyes wide. Pushing his bloodline to the limit, he blocked with his sword. Bang! The punch was too fast. Lin Zhan was sent reeling, blood spurting from a dozen wounds. He wasn't a weakling, but no match for Li Ming's freakish physical gifts. Staggering back, Lin Zhan snarled, "Dao Qi, get in here." The wind whipped Li Ming's hair. A chilling smile crept across his face. Looking at Lin Zhan kneeling in the distance, he said, "Too weak. Way too weak. Is that the best you've got?" Before he went into the secret realm, these two might have overwhelmed him, but now? Unless they were combat geniuses or spirit-refining masters, they were just targets. Seeing that the other guy was about to call for backup, Li Ming wasn't about to give him the chance. Strike while the iron's hot. Li Ming's eyes flashed. He charged, sword blazing. Bang! Lin Zhan blocked, but was staggered back. His fury was useless. The blade sliced across Lin Zhan's shoulder. Blood sprayed, bones snapped, and he screamed in pain. "Damn you! Dao Qi, what are you waiting for?" Dao Qi smirked. "You told me to stay out of it. Now look at you." "Ha ha ha." Still, Dao Qi abandoned his knife sharpening, slowly drew his blade, and fixed Li Ming with a stare. He wasn't looking for trouble. Then again, the reward was massive. Watching Li Ming fight, he thought, this better be worth it. Lin Zhan might not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but he'd been in the Golden Core realm long enough. And Lin Zhan was already bleeding all over after just a few rounds. What a waste. "Let's see what you've got," Dao Qi murmured. Blood knife 7 styles, he attacked, blade aimed straight at Li Ming's neck. His parents died young. His only hobby was perfecting his knife skills. The best way to do that? Killing people. Weapons were meant to kill. He wondered if the blood of someone this promising would taste any different. The blade sang. Crimson light flashed in the night. "Bring it." Li Ming reacted instantly. Channeling his energy, he conjured a black and white blade of light, whirling around to meet the attack. The two blades collided in a deafening boom. The ground cracked as they were sent flying back. His sword intent, stronger than mine. Impossible. Dao Qi was stunned. Sword fighting was about skill and intent. skills could be honed through practice, intent required life-or-death battles and natural talent. Everyone had their own intent. Below a master, it was almost impossible to form even a prototype of sword intent, which got harder to improve every 10%. Someone who could form the embryonic form was considered a prodigy. But this guy hadn't even reached the Golden Core realm, and was barely 20. How could he have better sword intent? Dao Qi was floored, but Li Ming was focused. His sword intent absorbed countless others. Li Ming took a step, and the Yaoyue sword blazed. Energy surged through his body, gathered on the blade, and solidified into a sword aura. Cut. Li Ming's eyes were cold. He gripped the hilt, and the moon sword fell like a shooting star. A dragon's shadow flickered around him as he delivered an unstoppable blow. Chapter 84, Reuniting Father and Son. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Clang. The sharp sound of gold and steel echoed. Dao Qi's eyes blazed with fury, his body soaked in blood, as he struggled against Li Ming's earth-shattering blade. Fighting a Golden Core realm master was one thing, but to be stalemated by a Ninggang realm warrior. That was just plain humiliating. Bloodshed everywhere. Dao Qi roared, madness twisting his face, muscles bulging, and his black hair erupting like flames. True energy poured from him in a torrent, far exceeding his previous power. He swung the blood-soaked blade at Li Ming's head. The strike was blindingly fast, the blades blurred together in a dance of death. Humph! Li Ming's cold snort cut through the air, his eyes steely as he met the attack. A spectral green dragon materialized before him, blocking the deadly path of the blood-soaked blade. It unleashed a deafening roar. Boom! The two forces slammed together, shattering the green dragon's phantom. The blade tore past Li Ming's chest, leaving a deep, bloody gash. Dao Qi fared no better. His left arm was slashed open, a mangled mess of flesh and bone. The battle escalated, a whirlwind of roaring green dragons and crimson light. Realizing his opponent's strength, Li Ming fought with focused intensity, pushing his footwork to its absolute limit. Each strike carried the weight of a mountain. Dao Qi, however, was in hell. Every move was a monumental effort, as if he were fighting a titanic dragon. Li Ming's energy seemed inexhaustible, his physical strength inhuman. For a moment, the street became a canvas of blades clashing and sparks flying. What's going on? That even though it was late, the ferocity of the battle had inevitably drawn the attention of the local authorities. A squad of detectives arrived, their eyes widening as they took in the scene. Is that a fight between Golden Core grandmasters? The sheer scale of the battle was terrifying. Nighttime brawls were rare. Most warriors knew better than to risk a fight after a night of heavy drinking, but they never expected a battle of this magnitude. Wait, is that Li Ming? One of the officers exclaimed. Li Ming's name was well known throughout Sangyang County. Practically everyone in the 6 doors had heard of him, and many had even seen him in person. The squad leader spoke in a low voice. The guy he's fighting looks like Dao Qi, the blood-drinking madman. He was a Golden Core realm master years ago, and a real powerhouse. Should we jump in and help? One of the agents frowned. The squad leader glared at him. Are you trying to get yourself killed? These masters were locked in a deadly dance, and any clumsy intervention would be suicidal. Were they, a bunch of Ninggang realm grunts, supposed to just jump in and die? And, it looks like Li Ming has the upper hand. The squad leader's eyes narrowed in disbelief. Back on the battlefield, Dao Qi, blood streaming down his forehead, was panting heavily, exhaustion setting in. Don't you ever get tired? He'd clashed with Li Ming countless times, believing he had figured out his opponent's style. Yet, despite the endless exchanges, Li Ming seemed unfazed, and Dao Qi was horrified. Alright, let's go again. Li Ming grinned, and the Yaoyu blade became a streak of light, aimed once more at Dao Qi. He had no fear of trading blow for blow. As for his condition, it wasn't a big deal. Dao Qi's eyes darted around, his last reserves of energy erupting as he met the attack with a desperate swing. Die! The two terrifying energies collided, and huge cracks spiderwebbed across the ground. Boom! Another violent impact sent Dao Qi staggering backward, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. He struggled to stay on his feet. Looks like your stamina isn't up to par. Li Ming pressed his advantage. He unleashed his full power with a savage strike. Energy roared like thunder. No! Dao Qi had no chance to dodge. He looked at the cold light bearing down on him, feeling its icy kiss. A desperate, unwilling roar escaped his lips. He raised his blade to parry the blow, but he was spent, unable to resist the onslaught. His beloved blade was knocked from his grasp, clattering to the ground. Slash! The blade sliced through his neck like butter. Dao Qi's head flew through the air, landing with a heavy thud in the distance, a fountain of blood erupting from his neck. Dao Qi was dead. As a wandering renegade, Dao Qi had no inhibitions. When he saw the massive bounty on the blacklist, he planned to kill Li Ming, grab the money, and disappear. He thought it would be a walk in the park. Instead, he died at the hands of a young upstart who wasn't even a master. Behead Dao Qi and gain 35,000 life energy. Activate Against Fate. You can capture the entry. The true meaning of the sword. Li Ming didn't hesitate, choosing the entry. After seizing the opponent's sword intent, his own took a leap forward. While it wasn't a full qualitative shift to 30%, it could at least be considered 2.5 layers. 1. Li Ming exhaled slowly, feeling relief flood through him. Oh, right, and then there's you. Li Ming turned to Lin Zhan, who lay a short distance away. He looked half dead but clung to life with a stubborn will. Lin Zhan's eyes were filled with rage and despair. He wanted to see Li Ming die with his own eyes, but even Dao Qi, a powerhouse in his own right, was no match for Li Ming. Li Ming walked slowly to Lin Zhan and whispered. Don't worry, the whole Lin family will be joining you and your son soon. You. Lin Zhan's eyes bulged, consumed by anger, but Li Ming didn't give him a chance to respond. The blade fell, sending father and son to the afterlife together. Kill Lin Zhan and gain 32,000 life energy. Reverse Fate is activated, and you can seize the entry. He just took out Dao Qi like that. The police captain stared at Dao Qi's headless body, his heart pounding. The fight had clearly revealed their cultivation levels. Li Ming was indeed still in the condensation realm, and hadn't even reached perfection. Logically, he should have been crushed by a Jindan realm master. Instead, they fought tooth and nail, and Li Ming emerged victorious with a single, decisive blow. Is this the power of someone on the human list? The captain muttered. The human list was well respected, but the descriptions of battles were often exaggerated. The idea of a fourth-grade power defeating a martial saint was a bit far-fetched, but seeing Li Ming, someone in a lower realm, defeating a Jindan realm master seemed possible. As Li Ming approached, the officers felt a surge of anxiety. The night wind picked up, coupled with the killer's aura that radiated from Li Ming. It was unnerving. Even though they were colleagues, they felt uneasy. Who's there? Li Ming's heart skipped a beat. He sensed someone watching him from the shadows. They had been well hidden, unnoticed until now. Luckily, his senses were far sharper than average, and he had remained vigilant. The other person seemed to relax after he killed the two, which is when he caught them. Li Ming whirled around, without warning, pulled a great bow from his storage space, drew the string to its limit, and fired. The arrow flew like a meteor, tearing through the air. The gray figure hiding under the eaves grunted, unleashing a surge of true qi to block the projectile. But the arrow's power was too great, piercing the barrier and hitting his right arm. The gray-clad figure frowned, stifling a cry of pain, and vanished into the night. Another master. Who is this? Li Ming's gut clenched. It felt like this dark place was full of hidden eyes, but they hadn't made a move. Were they afraid of his strength? Or were they worried about attracting the attention of the 6 doors? The night patrol captain hurried forward, bowing respectfully. Master Li, let us handle the cleanup. You should get some rest. Of course, we'll collect all their belongings and give them to you. Li Ming sighed, looking at the damaged street. Deduct the repair costs from their assets, he said. This was the scene after he had held himself back. Everyone had a responsibility to protect public property. The gray-clad figure moved through the night like a ghost. He moved with exceptional speed and skill. Even after passing by several night patrol constables, no one noticed anything. Soon, he made his way through the city and entered a secluded yard. It was late, and the only room with a light on had its door ajar. The gray-clad man pushed the door open and said to the middle-aged man in the room. Sir, this kid is too dangerous. He can beat 2 Jindan masters while in the condensation realm. I'm not much of a fighter. I can't guarantee a win. Plus, the 6 doors are already investigating. The middle-aged man nodded without blaming him and sighed. Qi Ming was likely killed by Li Ming. I didn't think this little pond would have a big fish like this. I don't know what to tell the clan. This is bad luck. Qi Ming's lineage invested heavily in this genius. They spared no expense for the top-grade evil spirit to avoid any competition. Now an outsider gets to reap the benefits. These people will be punished. The gray-clad man was confused, asking, what does the clan want us to do? Can we let a genius who hasn't matured yet? The middle-aged man sighed, we can't do anything overt. You know, the leader of our Zhangzhou is very concerned about him. Then he waved his hand, dismissing him. Get some pills to heal your wounds. We're not going to interfere. Chapter 85 Planning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Mansion was ablaze with light. Lu Tian had already heard from Li Ming about the attack. The Lin family sent assassins after you. Lu Tian's brow furrowed, murderous intent swirling around him, his powerful aura a tangible threat. Their guts are bigger than I thought. Guess my reputation's not as intimidating as I'd hoped. His anger sent shivers down the spines of the nearby servants. The power radiating from a spirit refinement master was almost unbearable. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, the Lin family wasn't just pulling strings. Lin Zhan himself showed up, wanting to finish me off. Li Ming's voice was grim. Lu Tian dismissed the servants, leaving only himself and Li Ming in the house. It's probably not just the Lins. Seems like a lot of folks have a problem with me. Li Ming filled him in about the underground bounty list. Lu Tian listened, then said, I've worked with Lin Zhan before. Didn't expect him to be so reckless. But going after you so openly? He's probably trying to create some distance between himself and the whole affair. Which makes it tough to pin anything on the family. Li Ming said calmly, Lord Lu, we can dig up the Lin family's old dirt. Or just target the ringleaders. Lin Canghai and some of the Lin family's top dogs aren't exactly choir boys. In a world ruled by martial prowess, a family's strength hinges on its martial arts masters. Though Lin Canghai was getting on in years, he was still their rock, barely holding the Lin family together. If we can take out a few of their masters, the Lin family's gonna crumble fast. Other families will jump at the chance to kick them while they're down. Li Ming recalled his recent visit to the God of Wealth Pavilion, where he'd gleaned a lot of information. Kai Shisan, subtly pressured, had spilled a lot of dirt. Lin Canghai was a real piece of work back in the day. He'd do anything to get his hands on martial arts knowledge and training resources, leaving a trail of broken lives. He's mellowed out a bit recently, but he went all out a few years ago to get those natural treasures for Lin Sun, prepping him to build his foundation. And 3 years back, he straight up slaughtered a village for some top-shelf medicine. Then he paid a gang of bandits to take the fall. This was the kind of intel Kai Shisan had pried out of the Tianji pavilion at great expense. Even Lu Tian was in the dark about all this. It's like trying to see the forest for the trees. The 6 gates are a tangled mess. A lot of the recruits come from sects or noble families. They're all in cahoots, covering each other's backs, and a lot of cases just get swept under the rug. Lu Tian, brought in from out of town to head up the investigation, was meant to keep these local powers from getting too cozy with the authorities. But it's not working out as planned. Sure, it's slowed down the back-scratching between the big families and the officials, but one person can only do so much. It's the same story all over Zhangzhou. It sounded simple, taking on the powerful and shaking things up, but it was a Herculean task. The previous dynasty's failures were a stark reminder. Lu Tian nodded, replying without hesitation. If you're willing to stick your neck out and make enemies, I'm backing you all the way. But you gotta know, the Lin family's no pushover. If you come on too strong and they push back, it'll get messy. Lu Tian sighed. To outsiders, the court seemed all-powerful, but he knew better. Though strong, they couldn't just run roughshod over everyone. I'm counting on it. Li Ming was itching for a fight. He had nothing to lose and no one holding him back in Sanyang County. He wasn't afraid of anyone. The Lin family had been begging for it. Did they think he was some kind of doormat? He couldn't make time for it before, and his strength wasn't enough, so he put up with it for a while. Now, he would retaliate fiercely. He will capture Lin Canghai and a group of senior members of the Lin family, but if the other party resisted, he would not hold back. With his current strength, Li Ming felt that it would not be a big problem to take down the Lin family. If Lu Tian could tie up the reinforcements of the Lin family for him, he would be sure to directly destroy most of the Lin family's forces. Later, even if Li Ming did not take action to eradicate the roots, other forces would devour the Lin family. Seeing Li Ming's determination, Lu Tian stopped trying to dissuade him. Things in Sanyang County are complicated. You're new here, so you don't know that the Lin family is tight with a bunch of other big families. A lot of the officials who came before us didn't want to rock the boat, so now things have gotten out of hand. The court's authority doesn't mean squat to these guys. Lu Tian scoffed, clearly annoyed, but there was nothing he could do. It was a problem too big for one person to handle. Most officials just wanted to get through their term without making waves. If they didn't get tangled up with the local snakes, they considered themselves good officials. While Sanyang County's court had some clout, those big and small players were stronger together. These guys know the score. They're all in this together. If you push them too hard, they'll rebel, and no local official wants that on their watch. After all, the court's got its hands full right now. Buy-ins breathing down our necks, and there are all sorts of demonic cults stirring up trouble back home. Daxuan's been around for centuries, and we've seen plenty of uprisings and rebellions. In the end, they just get crushed and absorbed back in. Compared to other counties in Sangzhou, Sanyang County's pretty stable. The downside? The court's lost its edge, and the noble sects are all tangled together. When the time comes, I'll run interference for you. I'll send some of my most trusted people to help you out. Just go. If they resist, kill them first, ask questions later. Thank you, sir. Li Ming bowed, his expression grave. Lu Tian was making himself clear. He'd take the heat for Li Ming, at least in public, but Li Ming would still have to deal with the consequences in the shadows. Like becoming a target for some of these families. You might find yourself dodging assassins. After all, who wants a constable causing trouble? Especially one who might be trouble for them. If Li Ming can take down the Lin family today, they'll be wondering if they're next. Lu Tian saw Li Ming's serious face and a smile tugged at his lips. This Sanyang County. It's been stagnant for too long. It needs someone to shake things up. Lu Tian had been in office for a few years, and he'd been pushed around enough. He'd been harboring resentment for a long time. Now, Li Ming, a young guy with potential and a personality that suited his needs, was not only vindictive, but also brave and resourceful. He didn't mind Li Ming making a big deal. At worst, he wouldn't stay in Sangzhou anymore. The Lin family is colluding with many big families, and the combined power is not small. There are 3 masters of refining spirits alone. So Lu Tian can't help Li Ming do too much, and can only prevent these super masters from participating. The next day, early in the morning, Li Ming practiced swordsmanship in the backyard. He breathed a long sigh of relief, and he felt refreshed. He was excited to think that the Lin family was about to be destroyed by him. It's not just revenge, harvesting a wave of life energy is the key. Li Ming's plan this time is very simple. He plans to do something big. It's satisfying to cut the grass and root out the other party. In the past, when the Six Gates confiscated and exterminated families, they were usually targeting small families. They were more likely to let the slightly larger forces go. This was not what Li Ming wanted. Just allow these big families to do whatever they wanted and commit murder. He was going to try it today, just use force, so what? But for this operation, he had to improve his strength first. Before that, in order to recover from his injuries quickly, he had also advanced an entry, super speed healing. Your injuries recover much faster than ordinary people, including internal injuries. But his cultivation was still far from perfection. Mu Zhengongning Gang Chapter, Desheng 40%. Cultivation, 9th level of Ning Gang, Life Energy, Charge. Fill it up first. With 30,000 life energy invested, Li Ming only felt that the true energy in his body surged, almost doubling. Mu Zhengongning Gang Chapter, Perfect. Cultivation, 9th level of Ning Gang. It seems that the gap between the 9th level and the perfect is not small. Li Ming carefully felt the powerful power in his body. The benefits of perfecting the skills are indeed great. No wonder life energy needs so much, it's worth it. Dong dong. A constable walked into the backyard fully armed and bowed to Li Ming. Sir Li, Chief Constable Lu said they are ready. Li Ming had a blank expression and a calm look, and casually changed into a perfect golden-edged Feiyan suit. In that case, let's go. Chapter 86, Punishing the Lin Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Leaving the Lu mansion, Li Ming became the center of attention for dozens of detectives waiting outside. Even some golden elixir masters were present, their gazes ranging from admiration to awe. In just a few months, Li Ming had risen from obscurity, his reputation growing with each passing day. He'd even surpassed seasoned golden elixir masters. Faced with such a vast difference in power, jealousy simply morphed into admiration. His composure at such a young age was truly remarkable. Everyone dreamed of living by the motto, I don't offend others unless they offend me. If someone offends me, I'll offend them. It sounded simple, but few could truly live by it. Life tended to make people more cautious. Li Ming surveyed the crowd with calm eyes. They were all elite, hand-picked by Lu Tian, for golden elixir masters and dozens of Ninggang realm experts. Taking down the Lin family wouldn't be a problem. Meanwhile, within the Lin family walls, sobs and cries echoed. Passers-by sighed, remarking, that family sure had a run of bad luck. Another funeral, just days after the last. Inside the morning hall, an ebony coffin sat in the center. Lin Zhan's, though empty. Lin Canghai stood before it, his heart a mix of grief and bitterness, tears welling in his eyes. A white-haired man burying a black-haired one, losing his grandson and son one after the other was a crushing blow. Worse still, their bodies hadn't even been recovered, and now, he had to worry about 6 doors causing trouble. Even a heart as cold as his couldn't bear it. His worst fears were materializing. A panicked voice cut through the air from outside the hall. Master! 6 doors is here. That damn Li Ming's leading them, and no one can stop him. They've already broken down the front gate. Lin Canghai exploded in fury. What? Why him? He'd already lost his grandson and son. Was the man trying to barge into the Lin family home? That Li Ming. This is too much. Grief and rage consumed Lin Canghai. Lin Long, stop them. Don't let them take another step inside. Yes. Lin Long, the current head of the family, hurried out of the morning hall. The Lin family wasn't a united front, of course. Several factions existed. Lin Sun's death wasn't bad news for everyone. For instance, Lin Long's sons, none of whom were as gifted as Lin Sun, now had a chance, but internal squabbles were one thing, facing an outside threat was another. They knew how to band together when necessary. Dozens of figures had already gathered in the Lin family compound. Their faces were stern, their posture rigid. Li Ming, his expression grim, strode into the compound, glaring at the mourners. His voice boomed like thunder, carrying the weight of authority. 6 doors is conducting an investigation. Anyone else here, clear out. Things were about to get ugly. Lin Long sensed the impending storm and rushed to the courtyard. Seeing Li Ming and his entourage, his heart sank. This guy's bad news. Li Ming's just settling a personal score, plain and simple. Is he really going to destroy my family in broad daylight? Lin Long's mind raced. He put on a brave face and asked, what crime has the Lin family committed to warrant such a visit from 6 doors? Behind him, Lin family warriors drew their swords, their eyes wary. Guards and affiliated experts stepped forward to stand behind him. You really don't know? Li Ming asked calmly. I really don't. Paid murder, disregard for human life, corruption, collusion with corrupt officials. You Lin family think you can get away with anything? That's outrageous. You're making false accusations. Where's your proof? Lin Long bellowed. Some of the onlookers tried to mediate. The Lin family's in mourning. 6 doors barging in like this is just cruel. Exactly. Several figures stepped forward, warriors who had received favors from the Lin family over the years. They were chivalrous types. It was all about reputation. Favors? Li Ming scoffed, cutting off the man's rant. 6 doors is on official business. Are you questioning us? Even if you're with 6 doors, you can't just. Before the man could finish, Li Ming moved. A flash of cold steel. The man saw Li Ming draw his sword, panicked, and raised his own weapon to parry, but the gap between them was too great. Skill, strength, even their weapons were in different leagues. In an instant, the Yaoyu blade bit into his flesh, blood gushing out. A deep gash appeared, bones visible. He died instantly. The Lin family compound fell silent, shocked by the power of that single strike. Talk about making an example, Li Ming declared. There's no room for sentiment here, only the law. I want to see if anyone else dares to obstruct justice. If you're charged with interfering with an official investigation, don't blame me for being ruthless. Li Ming's tone was calm, but the intent behind it was chilling. His voice, neither loud nor soft, crashed like thunder. The warriors who spoke before were pale, bodies trembling, as if a hand was strangling their throat. Anyone else want to stop me from handling this case? Li Ming scanned the crowd, his sword held ready. Those who had been on good terms with the Lin family backed away, not daring to linger. The situation had turned explosive. It was clear the Lin family was in deep trouble. Li Ming was indeed as fierce and ruthless as the rumors claimed. Golden elixir grandmasters weren't even a match for him. Then, Li Ming turned his gaze to Lin Long. Evidence. You come with me to the prison, and I'll show you all the evidence you need. Even if they obeyed, Li Ming could manufacture evidence. The Lin family was guilty, and they wouldn't challenge him. Lin Long's eyes widened. Us? Li Ming nodded, his voice cold. Of course, and many others in your family are complicit. Today, I'll start by arresting you and then that old ghost upstairs. Don't get any ideas. Many in your family have committed serious crimes. Now that the truth is coming out, why not just surrender? You. Lin Long raised his index finger, pointed at Li Ming, and then hesitated, unsure what to say. Li Ming was clearly determined and wouldn't back down easily, but if he and his father surrendered, it was as good as a death sentence. Li Ming narrowed his eyes at Lin Long's raised finger. How dare you? He struck with his sword, as swift as lightning. Chapter 87. The truth is in the fist. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah! Master! Panic erupted from the Lin family compound. They all drew their weapons, pointing them at Li Ming. They hadn't expected Li Ming to attack the moment they disagreed. The onlookers were stunned. This was a whole new level of crazy. What's with all the hate? Seeing Li Ming's actions, everyone felt a mix of absurdity and fear. They'd seen unreasonable people, but never someone like this. You dare! Lin Long reacted quickly, drawing his sword to retaliate, but the moment his sword was out, he knew he'd fallen into a trap. Li Ming hadn't even bothered to unsheath his weapon. He hadn't even struck him, but he had swung his sword to stab him. Ignoring the minor pain, Li Ming smirked and yelled. The Lin family is in defiance. Not only are they resisting arrest, they've attacked officers of the 6 doors. What punishment is fitting for such crimes? Lin Long stammered, it's a misunderstanding. All a misunderstanding. He cursed his own reflexes for giving Li Ming the excuse he needed. Misunderstanding, my ass. Such insolence. I think you're plotting treason. The booming voice carried clearly, and every member of the Lin family heard it. Combined with Li Ming's decisive tone, it was terrifying. With that, Li Ming signaled and drew his sword. The 6 doors officers behind him followed suit without hesitation. Li Ming, you're abusing your power to settle a personal vendetta. Lin Long shouted, finally regaining his senses. He needed to project confidence, otherwise, his guests and guards might get cold feet, and the Lin family would simply surrender. Li Ming scanned the crowd, his aura intensifying. Do I need to list out all the Lin family's crimes over the years? The evidence is overwhelming. And Lin Long's attack on an imperial official is blatant treason. Everyone here saw it. Anyone who continues to side with the Lin family will be considered a traitor. You want evidence? This knife I caught is your evidence. The previously hesitant guests and guards broke and ran, yelling, "Spare us, sir. We're leaving." That they even dropped their weapons, fleeing in disgrace without any interference from the 6 doors officers. Someone took the lead and the others followed. Of the Lin family's warriors, only a few dozen managed to escape, those closest to the family. Even they were intercepted by the police. "You bastard!" Lin Long cursed, watching helplessly. He knew he was in trouble, in Li Ming's hands. "Li Ming, the Lin family has already backed down. Do you want to slaughter us all?" Lin Long said, seething. He had argued against targeting Li Ming, but Lin Canghai had more influence within the family, and his hands had been tied. Lin Long felt wronged. Suddenly, a series of red fireworks exploded above the Lin family's backyard. Li Ming saw that Lin Long was stalling with empty words. In this situation, just act. Who needs a reason? Might makes right. If he were weak, the Lin family would have crushed him like a bug. Why should they get to be so ruthless? He'd be a corrupt official today. A cool corrupt official. The Lin family intends to rebel. Kill them all. Li Ming's shout echoed across the compound. Instantly, the well-trained 6 doors officers moved, led by several Golden Core masters, and charged into the Lin family. Seeing death bearing down, the Lin family gritted their teeth and charged forward, swords raised. Chaos erupted. The scene quickly became a one-sided slaughter. The Lin family was no match for the 6 doors elite. Casualties mounted quickly. "Everyone, attack!" Lin Long roared. Black-clad figures emerged from the Lin family, his personal death squad, brought out for this moment. Li Ming stared, looking as if he wanted to devour him. The long knife in his hand had already killed several members of the Lin family. "Li Ming, you have a death wish." Unable to bear it any longer, Lin Long unleashed a sword strike. Waves of sword energy surged horizontally and vertically, exuding a razor-sharp aura, aiming to cut Li Ming in two. Li Ming channeled his true energy, returning the blow with a single chop. Sword energy clashed, sending a wave of heat rippling outward. "Is this the best you've got? Where's that old geezer Lin Canghai? Why doesn't he come out and die?" Li Ming sneered. "Damn you!" Lin Long's anger flared. His grandmaster's innate true energy seemed to be constantly exerting itself. As the head of the Lin family, his strength was undeniable. Name, Lin Long. Realm, 7th level of Golden Core. Entry, Swift Wind Sword. Blue, true meaning of the wind. Blue, extraordinary understanding. Green, agile movement. Green, forbearance. White, indecision. Gray, the Lin family's casualties were mounting, and the 6 doors officers were nearly overwhelmed. Lin Long knew he couldn't hesitate any longer. The other party was set on destroying their Lin family. As he extended his sword, a strong wind whipped around Lin Long, rustling the trees. His sword energy formed a barrier, carrying the force of a whirlwind. The true meaning of wind can bless oneself, and can also bless swordsmanship. At extreme speed, the sword light is sharp and unstoppable. Lin Long's swordsmanship is even better than Lin Zhan, exquisite and incomparable. "Bring it on," Li Ming growled. He wouldn't underestimate his opponent. Reaching the 7th level of the Golden Core realm made him a master. He had earned his strength. Plus, he had been born in the Lin family, with no shortage of resources and skills. Clang! Li Ming blocked the long sword with the flat of his blade. Amidst the swirling wind, the continuous sound of metal on metal rang out. He moved with practiced ease, using his keen dynamic vision to defuse Lin Long's attacks. Even if he was grazed, he could recover quickly with his powerful self-healing ability. However, Lin Long wasn't doing much better. Li Ming's swordsmanship was equally formidable, completely countering his attacks. Moreover, his opponent's true chi was of superior quality, even surpassing his innate true chi. Lin Long also realized that Li Ming's body was incredibly resilient, almost disregarding defense. Every time he launched a killing move, Li Ming met it head-on with reckless abandon. After a few exchanges, Lin Long felt his strength flagging. He couldn't believe he, a Jindan realm master, was having so much trouble taking down Li Ming. He didn't want to risk his life in a trade. Boom. A deafening roar shook the Lin family compound. Sweat beaded Lin Long's forehead. You're a fool. Daring to challenge my Lin family before even reaching the Jindan realm. Li Ming's relentless, defense-disregarding attacks were overwhelming him. Huh, old man, surrender now and maybe I'll spare your life. Li Ming, however, fought with tireless precision. The opponent's swordsmanship is superb, his true energy is strong, and his speed is extremely fast. Unfortunately, he hasn't fought for many years and has been in a high position for a long time. He has lost the desperate mentality in his heart. Clang clang. In an instant, there were several collisions. Damn it, you forced my hand. Lin Long roared, his aura surging. He seemed to merge with his sword. He had briefly entered a state of unity between man and sword. The sharp edge was exposed, and the murderous intent was awe-inspiring. Swish, swish, swish. With a single strike, countless streams of sword energy converged, the sword light multiplied, and the whistling airflow seemed to tear the very air. Die. This sword, even Lin Long himself was very surprised. He just felt hearty, as if he had found the pleasure of dominating the world in the past. Go one step further. This sword is bound to kill Li Ming. At this point, we can only make the best of a bad situation. Only after solving the current troubles can we talk about future things. Chapter 88, Although I am old, my arrows are still sharp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That's one fast sword. Li Ming's expression tightened. He felt Lin Long's power and knew he'd have to fight hard. Break. Li Ming muttered, his skin rippling as raw power surged within him. He activated the bull demon body art, channeling intense true energy into his moon-inviting sword, Qinglong 9 Twist Sword. They collided head-on, like two meteors in the sky, spitting out sparks. The ground around them was pulverized. Boom. The roar was deafening. Even nearby fighters stopped, mesmerized, their eyes locked on the two combatants. Li Ming and Lin Long stumbled back, each about 30 feet. Their clothes were shredded, and blood stained their skin. They were both a mess. Lin Long was stunned. He hadn't gained an advantage, but had been pushed back. What the hell? Lin Long couldn't believe he, a Jindan master, hadn't won against a kid in the Ninggang realm. Today, you die. Lin Long roared and charged again, but his power was a shadow of what it had been. The first try, the second, the third, he was fading fast. Seeing the sword flash, Li Ming sidestepped, dodging the blow. He spun around, clenched his fist, channeling all his power into a single punch. A mountain of terrifying power slammed into Lin Long. The punch looked simple, lacking finesse, but it packed unimaginable force, brute force for the win. Boom! Lin Long's eyes widened in horror. How can he still have so much power? Too late. The fist locked on, and icy dread pierced him. He felt consumed. His mind raced. He poured everything he had, even burning his golden core. Veins bulged in his left arm as his true energy exploded. He threw out his left arm to block Li Ming's punch. The moment they connected, an ear-splitting crash ripped through the air, dust swirled, and gravel rained down. Everything blurred, as if reality itself was dissolving. A figure was thrown through the air. Puff! Blood erupted from Lin Long's mouth, mixed with chunks of organs. He crashed to the ground, 30 feet away. The earth shuddered, and blood bloomed. His left arm was shattered, exposing bone. It's over. Despair washed over Lin Long. Li Ming was about to finish him when a wave of danger washed over him, and he frowned. You thief! Leave my son alone. An ancient, thunderous roar echoed from the distance. At the same time. Swish! A blue streak flashed, an arrow ripping through the air, locking onto Li Ming with a thunderous whistle. It was too fast. Lin Canghai. Is that old bastard moving? Fear and fury warred in Li Ming's mind. He felt a chill and stopped his attack on Lin Long, leaping to the side, trying to dodge the arrow, but unbelievably, the arrow seemed to have eyes. turning in mid-air, pursuing him. Damn it, Li Ming cursed. A heat-seeking arrow? No time to think. He unleashed his blood and chi, didn't bother dodging, and swung his left hand, meeting the arrow head-on with pure force, boom. The arrow, imbued with true energy capable of piercing armor, smashed into Li Ming's palm. Air exploded outwards, the twisted metal arrow clattered to the ground. Blood dripped from Li Ming's hand, marking it with a gruesome wound. Lin Canghai. I underestimated him, that the archery and the voice confirmed it. Lin Canghai was here, the Lin family's Dinghai archery was legendary, and Lin Canghai was famous for it. His most famous feat, taking down a spirit refinement master with a coordinated attack, Li Ming wanted to kill Lin Long, but Lin Canghai was waiting, ready to strike. He had to deal with him, or he'd be picked apart from a distance, and that arrow clearly wasn't his best shot. Swish, 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 arrows rained down, each a lightning bolt seeking Li Ming's vitals, arcing through the air. Li Ming's eyes narrowed. He used all his skill, twisting 7 times, trying to evade the deadly rain. If he couldn't dodge, he'd grab them, heading straight for the source. If he could get close, he could smash him. But dodging slowed him. Lin Canghai had to stop to fire, their distance closed. Li Ming reached a forest, whoosh. An arrowhead flashed, colliding with Li Ming's blade, sending sparks flying. Li Ming was a sharpshooter. Deflecting several arrows, he began to anticipate their patterns. He spotted Lin Canghai and charged forward, laughing. Old man, your archery sucks. Getting rusty, huh? Name, Lin Canghai. Realm, 9-fold golden elixir. Entries, Dinghai arrow, blue, true meaning of arrow, blue, wonderful body movement, green, arrow maniac, green, 9 oxen strength, green, heart eyes, green, ape arm, white, physical skills, white, killing like hemp, white, chi and blood decline, gray. Li Ming. Lin Canghai snarled, furious. The kid was fast. Flying with the wind, doing whatever you want, nice footwork, but it won't save you. Lin Canghai's face twisted with rage. He should have killed this little bastard earlier, so what if the 6 Gates got pissed? The families in Sanyang County had a mutual defense pact. The 6 Gates wouldn't raise hell over a dead man. Now, the Lin family was finished, only Li Ming's death could fix it. Thoughts swirled in Lin Canghai's mind, but his hands moved fast. He surged with blue true energy, radiating power. The Dinghai bow was pulled to its limit, its water blue energy spiraling. Chapter 89, Defeat Lin Canghai. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Archery is a tough skill to master, but once you do, it's a force to be reckoned with. Lin Canghai poured every ounce of his focus into the arrow, channeling all his inner energy into a single point. Boom. The moment the arrow was released, it sounded like an avalanche, a deafening roar. From afar, the arrow transformed into a streak of light, cutting across the sky like a rainbow, aimed directly at the approaching Li Ming. Even Lin Canghai, a golden core master, felt the strain after firing the shot. Staggering slightly, he used to launch such arrows with ease, but age had taken its toll, weakening his body and impacting his combat abilities. Warriors accumulate hidden injuries throughout their lives. Despite having more vitality than ordinary people, their lifespans aren't significantly longer. Neglecting their health can even lead to an early grave. Lin Canghai maintained his cultivation through spiritual medicines. Only reaching the realm of martial saint brings true transcendence, greatly extending life to a minimum of 300 years. After releasing the arrow, Lin Canghai felt a sense of relief. He was certain Li Ming wouldn't survive. He'd channeled his entire being into that arrow. Even a spirit refinement expert would be injured, let alone someone as insignificant as a gang condensation cultivator. Archery Grandmaster, nearly perfect. A glint appeared in Li Ming's eyes. He'd gathered intel on the Lin family beforehand. Dinghai archery, when mastered, could kill a 4th-grade supernatural master, making it incredibly potent. Of course, it was incredibly hard to learn. Since the Lin family's decline, no one has reached perfection. Lin Canghai was the closest, but without reaching spirit refinement, he couldn't grasp the true essence. This arrow possessed the power of a master, only possible using the family's 3rd-grade spiritual bow. It could split rivers and calm seas, rivaling a spirit refinement attack. Even before the arrow was launched, Li Ming felt the deadly threat locking onto him. The arrow carried the archer's intent to kill, backed by martial will, leaving no room for evasion. It was a guaranteed kill. The thunderous sound of the arrow echoed through the mountains, scattering birds. The arrow's light trailed behind it like a meteor. It was aimed straight at Li Ming. Here it comes. The arrow's power matched his expectations, and he had a counter-strategy ready. With no time to dodge, Li Ming acted fast. He pushed his inner energy to the max, his blood boiled, and his pores opened as he sensed the arrow's deadly sharpness. Cut it! Li Ming roared inwardly, swinging his sword at the arrow. He released a burst of sharp sword energy to intercept it. Sword intent collided with arrow intent. Clang! The arrow and sword clashed, creating a shower of sparks. Boom! Incredibly strong, the arrow exploded on impact in a brilliant burst of light, engulfing Li Ming. Smoke and dust billowed as the surrounding trees were knocked down. Ha ha ha, with that arrow, you're done for. Lin Canghai cheered, certain that Li Ming was dead, but even before the smoke cleared, Lin Canghai felt a sudden sense of danger. Another arrow, equally powerful, came screaming towards him. Having gained the God of Shooting entry, Li Ming was naturally a marksman. Despite lacking advanced archery skills, he was still deadly with his newfound talent. Hearing the arrow's sound, Lin Canghai was shocked. Li Ming wasn't dead. There was no time to think. Facing the arrow, Lin Canghai reacted fast, unleashing his inner energy to narrowly avoid the attack. After dodging, Lin Canghai felt a new wave of danger. He saw Li Ming charging through the air. Li Ming hadn't completely blocked the first arrow, but he had reduced its power. After deflecting the vital spots, the terrifying edge still pierced his body, leaving a nasty wound and gushing blood. However, the injury didn't seem to slow him down at all. The heart of a warrior is to advance. Li Ming instantly accelerated to his limit. Instead of hindering him, the wind pressure fueled his speed even more. Kill! Li Ming's eyes blazed with sword light. Taking advantage of Lin Canghai's exhaustion, he gathered his sword intent, merging man and weapon into a single blade. He stepped forward, his moon sword slashing horizontally, with his power channeled into the blade. Swish! A sword light like a blue dragon ascended, seeming to warp space, bringing a cold, unstoppable light. Lin Canghai's expression changed drastically. His earlier joy vanished. He dedicated his life to archery, neglecting his defenses. If Li Ming could withstand his fatal arrow, he might not survive this sword strike. Retreat! Lin Canghai retreated, fully activating his protective armor. This was a valuable, spiritual weapon-level treasure. Under his power, the weapon patterns on the armor formed a protective barrier, strong enough to withstand an attack from a golden core expert. The scene looked impressive, but it didn't stop Li Ming's attack. Li Ming's blade split the armor's phantom defense, followed by his razor-sharp sword. Lin Canghai's eyes widened, filled with blood, as he poured his newly recovered inner energy. Li Ming's move had pushed Lin Canghai to the brink. Swish! Blood splattered. Accompanied by a muffled roar, Lin Canghai stumbled back dozens of steps from the force of the blow. A deep gash appeared on his stomach, exposing bone and even some internal organs. The attack had nearly ripped him open. Yet, Lin Canghai had survived. Ah! You little beast! The intense pain made him scream. Despite a lifetime of battles, he'd never felt such agony. Before his roar died down, the deadly blade light struck again. Like a meteor, each step a kill. Li Ming's blood was boiling, and he didn't hold back his energy. He ignored his own worsening injuries and kept swinging. His killing intent was terrifying, but his mind was clear. His blade was like a god. Damn it, I'll fight you! Lin Canghai roared, his arms suddenly swelling, transforming into iron fists with terrifying power as he charged at Li Ming. Despite his declining health, he was still a 9th-level Golden Core master. The sword danced wildly, hitting every vital point. In moments, dozens of wounds appeared on Lin Canghai's arms, turning flesh into a bloody pulp. Lin Canghai continued to retreat, each step adding more wounds, but he stubbornly refused to give up. He still hoped that Li Ming would collapse from exhaustion. but Li Ming's blade remained fierce and unrelenting. A terrifying light burst forth, despair and regret flashed. In Lin Songhai's eyes, if only he were 30 years younger. If only he'd succeeded in spirit refinement all those years ago. Swish, a head flew off, and blood sprayed, killed Lin Songhai, gained 40,000 life energy. Reverse fate is activated, you can seize. Chapter 90, Lin Family Destroyed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Ming didn't hesitate, he grabbed the opponent's true meaning of arrow. 20% mastery of archery's true essence would seriously amp up his own archery, especially that arrow's homing ability. It was practically cheating, totally unfair. Whoosh! Li Ming took a deep breath, then glanced down at himself, wincing at his state. His favorite clothes were trashed again, and his body was covered in cuts and scrapes, nothing life-threatening, but he looked like he'd been through a meat grinder. Thankfully, his healing factor had leveled up, so even this kind of damage would bounce back quickly. Li Ming changed clothes, downed some healing potion, and took a quick breather before heading over to Lin Songhai's body and getting to work, looting. With practiced ease, it didn't take long before he hit pay dirt. Title Surge Bow, rank, 3rd grade spirit weapon, attributes, condensing, blue, chi gathering, blue, hardening, blue. This bow is way better than the one Lin Sun had. With just a slight tug, Li Ming knew this bow was something special. Most martial artists probably couldn't even budge the string. After a thorough search, he found a small pouch hanging on the body. Recognizing it as the guy's magic storage, Li Ming reached inside. It wasn't overflowing, just a few dozen spirit crystals, some random junk, and basic techniques. He scored a full copy of the Tidal Surge swordplay. This actually made Li Ming smile. With his off-the-charts comprehension and already awesome archery skills, picking it up wouldn't be a problem. He also understood how deadly the Tidal Surge arrow technique was. Without his super strength, he'd be worm food 100 times over. Having another fighting style in his back pocket would only make him stronger, especially since someone with his natural strength was even more lethal with a bow. Li Ming didn't waste any time, hustling back to the Lin family compound. The ground was littered with corpses, easily 50 plus, mostly Lin family goons, plus over a dozen dead cops, and since he'd spearheaded this whole operation, he'd also racked up a ton of life energy. Li Ming showing up sealed the deal. The last few Lin family holdouts had tossed their weapons, shut down their chi, and were sitting ducks, rounded up on the side. Seeing Li Ming, the cops visibly relaxed, their respect for him hitting a whole new level. He'd taken down a Golden Core Realm 9th level master. One of the top dogs in all of Xianxia County, and Li Ming had just hunted him down. Captain Wang Chong, a Golden Core Realm leader, stepped up to offer his congratulations. Congratulations, Mr. Li, on taking down Lin Songhai and wiping out these evildoers. Word of this fight will spread fast, and your name will be on everyone's lips in Sangzhou. Your ranking on the popularity list is going to skyrocket. Even though he outranked Li Ming, he was all respect, no attitude. He'd only been following Lu Tian's orders, a little resentful about it, but now he wasn't feeling any of that arrogance. Respect the strong. The guy was young, but his strength was off the charts, enough to shut him up. Li Ming nodded. It was inevitable. The Lin family had deep roots in Sanyang County. Him almost single-handedly taking them down was huge, plus, the Six Gates wouldn't hide it. They'd blast it all over the news, sending a message to any other troublemakers that the imperial court was still a force to be reckoned with. Li Ming asked casually, "Where's that old weasel, Lin Long?" "In the Lin's main hall. After you left, he tried to make off with all the loot, but we caught him red-handed." "Take me there. Right away." Wang Chong didn't ask any questions, just led Li Ming straight to the main hall. Lin Long's chi was blocked, his body shackled. His hair was a mess, and he looked like death warmed over. "Kneel!" Wang Chong charged in and kicked Lin Long, snapping his legs, then held him down, forcing him to the ground. Lin Long looked up, his eyes burning with hatred. Seeing Li Ming, he blurted out, "Where's my dad?" Li Ming smirked at Lin Long kneeling before him. "He's catching up with his kids and grandkids." "You!" Lin Long's body shook, his eyes flooded with anger and grief. The Lin family has been so good to me, so I naturally want to return the favor. Did I do a good job? Li Ming grinned. Lin Long saw the mockery in Li Ming's eyes, and tried his best but he couldn't move. Finally he shouted at the top of his lungs. You deserve to die. Messing with people like this, you're going to piss off someone you can't handle. Ha! Li Ming responded calmly, then suddenly felt bored looking at Lin Long's impotent rage. A flash of cold steel, and the knife fell. Lin Long felt a sharp pain, then everything went black. Seeing Li Ming straight up murder the guy, Wang Chong froze for a second, then pretended not to notice, turning to look out the door, figured Li Ming and Lin Long had a score to settle, so he got iced, killed Lin Long, gained 35,000 life energy. Activate against fate, you can capture the entry. Seeing the system notification, Li Ming nodded slightly, a satisfied look on his face. He still wanted to take down this big fish. Plus, the blue level, true meaning of the wind, would be a massive boost for him. It would enhance his footwork, even his shooting speed and awareness. Walking out of the hall, he could hear the commotion outside. The Six Gates had taken some hits this time. A lot of constables were pissed and had started combing through the Lin estate, looking for any stragglers in hiding. Plus, all the Lin family assets would be divvied up. Li Ming would naturally get a cut, but the bulk of it still had to go to the Six Gates. After all, people died in this battle, and their families had to be taken care of. Otherwise, who'd sign up for the Six Gates? As Li Ming headed back to town, Sanyang County was buzzing with rumors. The word on the street was that the Lin family's downfall was all because they'd crossed Li Ming, the Six Gates rising star. It made everyone see how cold-blooded the Six Gates could be, and they'd gotten a first-hand look at a ruthless player, Li Ming. In their eyes, the Lin family had only slightly ticked off Li Ming and the Six Gates, and it hadn't even been that long before the whole family was nearly wiped off the map. Any surviving family members were now wanted fugitives. It was pretty much a clan extermination. The big families in town were scrambling to tell their kids to keep their noses clean, not to cause trouble, and they laid down the law. If they crossed Li Ming, their families wouldn't protect them. They'd hand them over to the guy themselves. Inside the Six Gates, Lu Tian was hanging out with several of the big family heads. The vibe was friendly, but everyone was thinking a million miles a minute. These guys were reps from factions that had been buddy-buddy with the Lin family, and they'd all been invited by Lu Tian. With a little pressure, they weren't too worried about the Lin family. As far as they were concerned, Lu Tian was in deep with them, and they were in deep with Lu Tian. It wasn't until the news of Li Ming's one broke that Lu Tian finally chilled out, grinning ear to ear. The Lin family was a tough nut to crack. If Li Ming had pushed them too hard and they'd gone for broke, it was anyone's guess who would have come out on top. He actually hadn't been that confident. At one point, he was even starting to have second thoughts, but Li Ming had just blown him away. He'd actually taken down the entire Lin family, and those family reps were all just staring, slack-jawed. A powerhouse like the Lin family, just gone.